In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to construct some foundation walls for your Revit project. What we have with this project are a series of structures that have a slab on grade. So what does that mean? Basically, directly below the slab is earth or dirt. And in this case, there's no basement, there's no crawl space. In other words, there's no hollow spaces below those slabs. But we still need to provide some kind of foundation, which will help to stabilize the building. The idea with the foundation wall is that you get it low enough that it is below the frost line, and that will keep the building from moving as the result of the freezing and thawing of the ground. So we won't get into a lot of detail about this. We're going to use a very generic size wall, basic wall, concrete. In order to construct this, I'm going to go to L1, level 1, and we're only putting these below the perimeter walls. So these are going to be 36 inches deep, and they will just kind of wrap around whatever, interior, whatever enclosures that I have in my particular project. So I'm going to go to wall here, and some settings you'll need to be changing. We're going to leave this, if this says height, change it to depth. We'll do it unconnected 3 feet. So basically we want it to start at level 1 and we want it to go downward 3 feet. Also, you're going to want to change the location line to the finished face of the exterior, because I'm going to be going around here and I'm going to be snapping to the exterior. So make sure it's not centered, and we'll do it as a chain so that I can just click all the way around in one series of steps. So I am ready to go, and I'm going to start. Oh, and by the way, you may want to set it to wireframe just so you have greater visibility of what you're drawing. So let's start that over again. Okay, here we go. From this point here to this point here. I'm going to get maybe an error message. None of them are visible. That's okay. We'll take a look at them from another view. Same thing, just let that message go. Now, to see what these look like, one way to do this would be to go to the 3D view, and in your nav cube up here, you can click on the bottom corner. All right, and I'm going to zoom in. Now I can see they're there. You may find it helpful to click on that topo solid, right click, select the topo solid, right click, and I'm still in here. Hide it in the view so that I can just check and make sure the relationships are right. What we want is like that finished face of the wall above to align with the finished face of the concrete. Okay, so that's all there is to that. There is going to be a footing also. So at the bottom of a foundation wall, you will often find a footing, which is basically a wider section that helps to distribute the load of the wall above. So you can see what this looks like if you go to the structure and you take a look at this little icon here for the wall. It's just this, the blue part is the footing. So there's the foundation wall, which is the gray part, and the footing is the bottom part. All right, now when I click on that, I get a footing, a bearing footing. It says 36 inches by 12 inches. And those dimensions, of course, this is just the default dimension provided by Revit. Those dimensions will just depend on a number of factors, including, the suitability of the soil to support the load. If it's very weak soil, that footing needs to be bigger, and vice versa. All right, so with that picked, all I need to do is go around, and I could change this if I wanted to, but I'll just use this 36 by 12, and I can pick the bottoms of the walls here. It's maybe a little bit hard to see what this is, so I'll change my visual style to something else so that maybe we can see a little bit better. If I change that to hidden, maybe you have a little bit more clarity on what's happening in there. Another way that I can view this is to go to one of my sections. So let's see here, let's go to L1. And I have a section here that I've been using to take a look at the relationships of things. Let's move this into the room or outside of the wall, that is, and double click there and take a look at it. Yeah, so there I can see I have a foundation wall. And, there's a lot of things that are overlapping in here. And, if we were going to get into the details of this, those things could be adjusted. And we'll just see how far we get with the project. Okay, so you would do that for, again, any of the perimeter walls. So in my case, I just did this far end. I would have the mirror image of that over on the left side here, on the west side. I have some interior spaces on the south side of the site too that need those. These footings or foundations would also appear underneath things like the columns, but it's a different type. Where it says isolated here, that's the type it would be. So it basically would have a pier that drops down to a certain dimension, and then below that would be the footing. We're just going to do these perimeter walls just so you have a sense of what these might look like. So I added those foundation walls to the areas I described, plus I did one for the elevator. But I'm going to move this section over there. And what you'll see when I go to this section is that they're not quite deep enough. I have this elevator pit. So at 3 feet, I need to make sure they go deeper than that. I'm going to try to drag them down. Yeah, I could just drag them down. So, these two. And then I also need to look at the section in the opposite direction and make that adjustment. So I'm going to go back to L1 and I will move. Oh, I have one there. So let's go to this section. And I'll take those and drop them down. And then I can add those footings to those areas as well. Okay. The wall footing on the bottoms here. And technically we need to add a slab into that dimension too. So I should have brought my walls down another 5 inches. Let me go ahead and make that change. So I'm going to go back to those sections, section 2. And see if I can make that adjustment. Base offset, let's do minus 5 feet 5 inches all the way around. And it should bring the footing with it. I'll go to section 3 and I'll do the same thing from that side. It's 5 inches. Right, and then a 5-inch concrete slab can be put in that space. I'll show you how to do that as well, because we already have that slab type architecture for concrete 5 inches. And use a rectangle to draw it. Now it's going to place it too high. And I'll adjust that. We're going to say don't attach and go to section 2. So there it is up there. I'm going to change the height to -5 feet. And it should put it where it needs to be. Okay. So basically you want to kind of go around and add the footings to all those walls. And that will conclude this part of the assignment.